This is a news report. So I just heard a one of the speeches from the Israeli, what they're calling the Israeli opposition leader, and I think it's the Herzog guy. I forgot how to say his name, but it's irrelevant right now. But I want to point out the language that he used because this is actually the reason. First of all, they're touting it as a comeback kid story, as oh Netanyahu against all odds came back and defeated the evil forces of liberal, what they call liberal, which I don't even think is actually liberal. It's still right wing over there. But what the opposition leader said in his speech was that it is clear that the Israeli people. He said he was sad that he was like I wish I won, kind of along that lines. But it's clear from the election that the Israeli people chose the settlements, chose the security policies, and chose the stance on Iran with their votes. Yeah, that's the opposition leader saying that. That's an Israeli saying that to other Israelis. That is what I'm saying is the only that and sentiment right there, which has broke the guy's heart in one sense. He sounded like he's pretty. Maybe I'm wrong, but he sounds like he's pretty genuine. Because those are pretty strong statements. um, it seems like it broke his heart in one sense, because he didn't see this as a political election between two parties, but he really saw this as an identity crisis between his fellow citizens. And he hoped to provide them with the outlet that he felt they needed in order to express themselves accurately. The end reality of the event of the experience was that not gonna happen. And so he's coming to grips with the face of the Israeli public, which he is recognizing is Netanyahu's. And that's a terrifying, heartbreaking experience for him because there's no turning back. But as a difference between the anti-Semitism purported on Haaretz towards Jon Stewart, which used harsh language that Bibi Netanyahu uses too against the guys like this Herzog, whoever he ran against. Of this, because this is the way the right wing talks. They're emotional. Jesus Christ, you people! No, I didn't read it. Okay. Their emotional intelligence keeps them at the sixth grade level, like a 6-year-old level almost. But their experiences allow them to operate on many different planes. Like the lady says, Jon Stewart is the most disgusting Jew in the world. And then the way Haaretz, this I'm telling you, this is right wing, and this goes to show you how a 6-year-old is. Okay, so first of all, Haaretz posted on during election day in Israel, on their front page that's rotating. Within a short period of time, within 2 hours, the Jon Stewart article is gone. And you can see this, I have a clip showing this on that day. You don't get to see though, because I didn't think about recording the actual article at first. It was an afterthought. So I went to search it. And then after I searched it the first time, I realized, oh well, the search is actually a better video than the actual article. Because what the search revealed in Haaretz is that not only had the article rotated off of the cover screen, but the article had rotated out of the entire search engine for Haaretz relating to Jon Stewart. So there was no reference to an article that would have been on their page for an hour. Maybe that's censorship. Maybe they corrected themselves. But that's right wing. It's the same way that Mao would airbrush. They basically airbrushed the article to draw from the Maoian or the Stalin or the Stasiist, they airbrushed the article out, but they seared the idea into the visual receptors inside the brain of thousands, literally, unrefutably, thousands and thousands of primarily Israeli, but also Jewish Americans, and the said supporters, which are the Christians, who are waiting for Israel to be destroyed so they can have their Jesus come back, which are the secondary supporters, like the conservative Christians of America and Europe. So, my thing is, yes, see, as the world starts to um, be immersed in the idea that, hey, you know what? Israelis voted for it, which is kind of the way it is right now with black people and Hispanics with Obama and immigration and stuff like that. They've turned it into the race card, so now it's like, well, you voted for him, so black people are pro-war, um, pro-austerity, and pro-pull your bootstraps up. So more black people have been converted to the Republican ideological spectrum, which is the same as the Democrat, um, because of the association. And a large portion of the Hispanic community, even though they experience the suffering and the immense agony of their neighbors, partially because of the desperation to survive and the lack of cultural identity, which could be subtitled education, there is the capacity to not organize is not the correct thing. Organize is what they want you to do, but just to have the capacity to vocalize your emotional interpretation of your environment, which is the entire world. That's, I guess, what another thing is missing here. What the politics and nation states and countries and cities and race and gender do is bring you down to your experience is well confined to you. But no, your global experience as your experience as a human being, your emotional intelligence is based on the entire human species. The least you know about the human species and your neighbors, the stupider and more violent you are. That summarizes it? So what Netanyahu does is Netanyahu is a type of leader, and Obama, okay, Pinochet, and all this kind of stuff like that. Henry Kissinger. Let's kill him, people. I don't have to beat around the bush. No one should have to be ashamed of saying kill Henry Kissinger. Okay? That should be the crown jewel of nonviolent resistance. Seriously. So, but what they do is they create this notion of Hitler. We don't have to know anything about you, what you're doing, or what you want, or where you're from, to attack you. This is total war doctrine. This is the total, and I'm going to tell you the association between fascist Nazis, Germans, and fascist Zionist Israelis. Hitler's total war doctrine is the same exact construct as Benjamin Netanyahu's line in the speech. If America won't go with us, Israel will go it alone, or the world, which is essentially he's saying the world. So that's not possible. That's a facade. That's a fake statement. But people, fathers in their home that are in control of their wives and their kids, mothers who have a limited control of their kids, want to influence don't want to influence the men, workplaces, company owners. This all echo and they ratify this. The way the Senate ratifies laws, they ratify this in the behavior with the people that they interact with. So it is a total war doctrine. So that is another point. So this guy that was running against him, thought that maybe, if he's a genuine guy, thought that maybe he could offer an alternative to save his people from a total war. But even though one might say, this is the way that I'm using my own psychological issues to associate something that cannot be associated with something else, as in you cannot associate ever Israelis with Nazis. I could put a swastika on the middle of the Israeli flag in blue, and that to me would not be a conflict of interest. But on the outside, that would mean to say that I'm calling for the killing of the Jews because of the association, as opposed to, because they cannot see themselves as what they really are. So when you associate them with Nazis, all they ever hear is kill the Jews, kill the Jews, kill the Jews, which then reinforces their violent reactions because of the right-wing, emotionally negligent leaders that are amplifying this defense. Now, and I understand too, it's pretty significant that they've allowed him. When you understand, even Obama and Bush, psychotic Bushes and Reagan, they still talk defensively. And where they've lured essentially, like this guy said, the Jewish people have voted for these things. They've lured Benjamin Netanyahu into talking offensively, which is not a well accepted political maneuver. So that's my point. I'm not going to go too much because I got to get to work. But that is my point, and that is a point. According the perspective that is going to be magnified based on the current Israeli elections is that the Jewish people, the Israelis a fake word too, because they look at it as the Jews, the truth, whether you like it or not, they say the Jews control America. If you don't like it, then, Sterling and Adelson, they ain't doing jack shit to help you. And you say, well, what about the Bush and the Koch brothers? And you see who you're comparing yourself to. So, as Silverstein, who had the Twin Towers for a week, it is going to be perceived just like the opposition Israeli political leader to Bibi Netanyahu. It is going to perceive the same way he perceives it on a grander scale, that no, this is who the Israelis have chosen to be. Apartheid Africa chose who they chose to be. Confederates, they chose who they wanted to be. Black Washington, or Black Wall Street, in that community, I believe it was in Dakotas or something like that, they made the choice on who they wanted to be. The Indonesians in the 50s and 60s, in the 60s and 70s, I think, they made the choice of who they want to be. In North Korea, they've made the choice of who they want to be, and in South Korea. Because that's a good example too. This is probably what's going to happen in Israel, is what you see in Korea. Korea is only one country. The fact that white people have convinced a portion, the relatives of other Koreans, that their family members deserve to be abandoned and disowned and fought against and warred against because of the fact that they're prisoners from a super military presence, and that the only means of addressing their own family and relatives and co-countrymen, if you want to call it, co-citizens, co-cultural and habit, is to contain them within it. And rely on the white military forces that created the division through militarized army and shit like that to continue to negotiate the process. That's going to be something along the line that happens within Israel. Because you see, the Koreans are their own concentration camp of their own family members. That's the genius of North and South Korea, a line, an imaginary says, oh, fuck it. I'm not related to you no more. I want you to die. So in Israel, that's the line that already exists, and the right wing does believe that the non-right wing Jews who are willing to negotiate are a greater threat than the Palestinian children. I'm gonna post a video. I haven't gotten to the library because my knees been hurting and I've been lazy. And I'm not gonna go today, but I might go tomorrow, and I'll be frying tomorrow. But I'm gonna post a video. It has 3 clips, and it shows some very valuable information. But it's terrifying. But I gotta get out of here. So peace out. Remember, Israelis, congratulations. You voted yourself into an ideological corner. There's 2 ways out, and you are not you guys think you're a mouse with nuclear weapons, and you can never be put in the corner again because of the nuclear weapons. That is the trap. You would not allow your people to be swept away by this madman absence, the illegal possession of nuclear weapons. You are all relying on them, and you all know it, and your children don't know it, and they're being convinced that there's some kind of courage or divine something. It is criminal holding of weapons of mass destruction. And you lie to your kids and tell them it's some kind of divine choice? Watch, motherfuckers. I'm anti-nuclear. If that means I gotta be anti-Semitic, that doesn't mean I have to be anti-Semitic, because most Semitics don't fuck with nuclear weapons because they're Arabs. Only a small right-wing segment of Semitic people are obsessed with nuclear weapons so much that they will violate every statute of humanity and international law so as to tell their kids that they're strong. Peace out, motherfuckers.